Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Secrets of Money with your host, myself, Damon the Agent. I want to thank each and every one of you all for joining me today on this Friday, April 25th, 2025. If you're not following me, please follow me on all social media platforms: TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Threads, and Pinterest. Well, as always, you all know I like to always begin in the wonderful world of real estate. So today I'm going to talk about the DC market, the DC housing market. And the reason I'm going to talk about this is because I've been having many conversations with sellers, buyers, investors in DC, and there's so much going on, so much going on. So I want to get right into it. First of all, in DC, we're having a mixed market. And the mixed market is basically there's some houses that are being put on the market, boom, they're going quickly as possible. And then there are some there are some houses that are sitting for a while. Now, let me be realistic. There are two types of buyers in DC. We have the investors who are trying to snatch anything up for pennies, and they're always trying to see how motivated a seller is. Understand the word motivated also means how desperate a seller is in many cases. They say motivated, but they're really trying to see how desperate and eager a seller is. We also have the people who are moving in. We have a lot of millennials. We have people who are moving to the city, people who are dealing with the government, contracting, those people as well. They're buying properties, and 9 times out of 10, they want houses that are completely renovated, upgraded, have good bone, good structure. These are the other buyers in it. Now, in the middle, okay, there's really not many people in the middle. You got some people who may buy a house that requires some work, but most people don't want to put in the work. And because of the mixed buyers that we have in DC, we have to understand that sellers in DC, their houses are sitting on the market longer because a lot of sellers are overpriced in DC. Unfortunately, they're still thinking it's 2020 and 2021 when, of course, when COVID hit, the prices skyrocketed. And because the price has skyrocketed, people tend to think that we're still in that market. I have mentioned plenty of times that every 3 to 6 months is what the market dictates. And a lot of times people don't fully understand that the market dictates the prices of the houses. Now, of course, when a seller has a house, they can list their house for $1 million, even if it's not worth $1 million. And to be honest with you, many people in DC are listing their houses for $1 million because they go onto Zillow, they go onto Redfin, and they say, oh, the average home in this zip code has sold for $960,000, and they try to put their home on the upper scale of that 960, but that's the average. You have homes that might have sold for 1.3. You got homes that might have sold for 500,000. And a lot of times they don't seem to understand that the condition of the home also dictates the price that your home will sell at. There are a lot of homes, especially people who lived and grew up in DC, who have owned homes for 30 plus years, and the home has never been updated, and it requires a lot of work. And I don't think that some sellers understand the magnitude or the expense of how much work it requires. It requires hundreds of thousands of dollars. Understand, when COVID went up, everything went up. Food went up, gas went up, the price of construction went up, all the materials. So when that happened, also the cost of the labor went up. So something that probably would have only cost $50,000 in 5 or 10 years ago now costs $150,000 to $200,000. So something that cost $100,000 5 or 10 years ago now costs $200,000 to $300,000. Something that cost roughly $150,000 to do 5, 10 years ago, it's costing $300,000+. So you have to factor that in with the house price that most investors are buying properties at, the work that they have to put in, and then also what they're going to turn around and sell it at. Because again, a lot of them are the ones who are fixing up properties for the people who are coming in the city who like to buy new, brand new. There's a lot of construction go on. There's a lot of renovated homes, and the reason for the renovated homes is because of a lot of what the investors are doing. Now, also say this to say, I've spoken to many sellers. Some sellers don't want to believe that their house is worth whatever it is if it's not at least close to $1 million in their head, because everybody thinks their house is worth more than their neighbor's house. I don't care, not just in DC, everywhere. Everybody thinks their house is worth more than their neighbor house. And the truth be told, just like you have different taxes that everyone pays, just like you have a different social security number, just like you have a different credit score, but there's also a true value on your home. It really depends. Everything is always situational. So again, in DC, because we have these two types of buyer, mainly these investors, and then the people who coming into the city, moving into the city, want to buy new, want renovated homes. Because we have these two different buyers, a lot of sellers are unaware of what the cost of it is to sell their home. This is the reason why a lot of homes are sitting on the market long. Now, even when they sit on the market long, sometimes they think it's the agent, but a lot of times it's not the agent. It's the fact is you're substantially, the word is substantially overpriced. You know, anything is marketable and priceable at the right price. But sometimes people think, well, this is DC. They say, oh, I know what my house is worth. No, you might have known what your house was worth. The market dictates what it's worth to a buyer. Truth be told, the market has always dictated, not the seller, not you, not your home. The market. That's the reason why homes gain equity, because the market dictates what your house is actually worth. Now, when you don't come to a realization that prices go down, just like when the stock market just went down with the S&P, just like people peaked up and they might have gained $100,000-$200,000, then they turned around and lost $250,000. It's the same thing when it pertains to houses. When you see a lot of these houses that are just sitting on the market, especially in DC, it is because they are overpriced. It's not that people are not interested, because if people weren't interested, no one would come to see it. People come to see it because they want to see how much work they have to invest into it. They look at the list price, they look at how much work they have to invest into it, and then they say, well, I don't think the seller's going to accept what I want to offer them. And in many cases, they don't. And in many cases, I don't blame the seller. I'm not telling any seller to sell your house for next to nothing. I'm just saying you have to be realistic when it pertains to the pricing. Sorry about that. You have to be realistic when it pertains to the pricing of your home and the condition of your home. Saying you got recessed lightings, you painted a little bit, you did carpet, but everything else, you don't have an HVAC system in your home. The appliances are super outdated. You see mouses here and there. So I just say that to say that you really have to take into consideration the condition, the location, because again, in real estate, location dictates everything, y'all. That's why it's always location, location, location. Location dictates everything. And because location dictates everything, you have to clearly understand that when it pertains to the properties that are sitting in DC, DC is a prime location. So that's part of the reason that you can even think about listing your house as close to whatever you want to list it to, because of the location. The other thing that you have to think about is the condition of the home. If your home has not been renovated within the last 3 years, it hasn't been upgraded in the last 3 years, you cannot compete with the house on the corner that just got completely renovated and sold for 1.3 million. Your house ain't worth 1.2, 1.1, or 1.1 million, because if you've done no renovation, you're being really delusional about how much your house is worth, and then you'll go list it and then it didn't sell, and you want to blame the agent, but you never listen to the agent. You have to listen, because most agents are professional, and if they do their work and job thoroughly and good, they're telling you the honest truth. The problem is sometimes people want to go to where somebody's going to tell them what they want to hear. And yes, you might get told what you want to hear, but you don't get the results that you want to get, because you both align to each other and you both are being delusional. So I say that to say that the DC market is still a good market. Houses are still selling. But if you overprice your house, expect your house to sit on the market long if you overprice it. If you price it right, you might get a little pep from people coming to see it. Somebody might offer you something, may not be what you want, because we're not at the peak of the prices in DC. Like right now in DC, the DC medium houses sold is $660,000 in DC. The average days is on the market is 79 days. That's close to 3 months. That's the average. So I'm just saying to you right now, you have to be realistic as far as what your house is worth, and you have to be realistic as far as taking advice from the professional. Otherwise, you can go on Zillow, you can watch HGTV, and they can tell you what they want. And they just, I've watched HGTV, and I saw when they were in DC and when they had 1 or 2 sheets for the contract and the way they did things. I'm like, that's not how it goes at all. But you got to understand, TV is just showing you something in 30 minutes or an hour because they're showing you what they want you to see. So you can get the perception of what they want you to perceive. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not going to talk about that. So I'll be back to talk with, hold on, I'll be back in a minute. Hold on. All right, y'all. I am going to briefly talk about the house of the week before I have my guests come on. Hold on for 1 second. The house of the week. Where's the house of the week? Okay, this house of the week is a DC house. All right. This one says 1606 25th Street, Southeast. It's a lovely house. It has a total over 12,000 square feet. Wow, that's amazing. And it has plenty of room. Look at all this uniqueness. Look at that. A couple of fireplaces. Look at the kitchen, y'all. This is unique home. This does have an HVAC AC. That's the wash and dryer. One of the bathrooms, 2 of the bathrooms, one of the bedrooms, another one of the bedrooms, another one of the bathroom with the sink and tub, another one of the bathrooms in the basement. 3 levels in there. They have outside the grilling section. That right there used to be a pool. The homeowner decided to cover it in grass because she didn't want to have a pool. But hey, look, you can get a pool put right there. And then also we have a rec room that's there, a workshop that's there, extra storage area, 2-car garage. And this is a home that could be like an in-law suite. It does not have a bathroom, but it's a totally separate unit from the house. And we also have a basketball court in the back. Look at that. A lot of recreation, a lot of space. That's why I say it covers over 12,000 square feet. So this is the house of the week, y'all. All right. So I'm going to go over real quick a FIA, which is a fixed indexed annuity. I want to briefly go over that before I have my next guest come on here. All right. For those who don't know what a FIA is, this is the financial buzz of the week. Now, FIA is a fixed index annuity. It's a type of deferred annuity that provides potential growth based on market index, like the S&P, while also protecting against negative index returns. It's a contract purchase from an insurance company, not a direct stockbroker, stock market investment. Now, the annuity's values can increase based on the performance of a specific index market, but it's not a direct investment in that market. The annuity guarantees that your essential initial investment will not be lost. Picture that, will not be lost. This means when you can invest into the stock market, the S&P, you will never lose. See, people don't understand that. People invest directly into the stock market, but it takes a loss. Yes, you gain money, but you lose money. How long do you want to keep doing that? Listen, if you want to know more about the FIA, the fixed index annuity, please inbox me so we can discuss it further. All right, so I'm going to come right back with our guest of the day, Miss Chef Candra Hardy. I'll be back in 1 second. Welcome, Miss Chef Candra. How are you?
I'd be better if you didn't say that 3 times. Bonjour, mes amis.
I know, right? So I was just giving your name and your props and your giving you your love. I'm spreading love to you this morning.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Thank you for joining me. And I thank you also for joining me last week when you and Tracy Jackson was on briefly. So today is just you and I. Talk to me.
All right, so we're going to call this Fun Finds Friday.
Okay.
Fun Finds Friday. So
Okay.
today I have two things I want to discuss. One, I want to talk about high fructose corn syrup.
Okay.
High fructose corn syrup is very, very bad. So when you're out and you're having those really piping hot French fries, or you have that amazing hot dog or burger, and you see certain names that we know,
Hmm.
Heinz, a Hunt's, ketchup, maybe a store brand,
Okay.
most of those have high fructose corn syrup. What makes that so dangerous is it comes from cornstarch. It can cause weight gain. It also can be a contribution to getting diabetes, as well as liver issues. So we've got to stop grabbing that ketchup, the commercial ketchup, and start bringing our own. Remember when Beyonce said, I got hot sauce in my bag?
Hmm.
So, kind of the same concept. You're going to need to start getting a little container, putting it in the car, put it in your purse, put it in a Ziploc, do what you need to do, but stop using commercial ketchup and
So you're saying,
condiments.
basically when people go to McDonald's or they go to a restaurant that they should not be using the ketchup because it has, pronounce it again,
High,
high what?
high fructose corn syrup,
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
which
I've read
is
about it.
bad, very bad for your gut health. It messes up the enzymes for your glucose levels. So it basically just sucks and gets in there and can cause all kinds of health problems that we don't need because it's a chemical, and that chemical is a high risk contributor, especially diabetes.
I
We can
was
touch on
unaware
that
about
more.
that. Yeah, I was
Oh
completely,
yeah,
and I have
oh yeah.
seen the back of ketchup packages. So now you're saying it's a high contribution to poor health, basically.
Yes, gut health, diabetes, your blood, because it's still corn syrup is sugar. It's a sugar. So that's what it's doing. It's affecting your blood. So you definitely don't want to use that.
So what's
And
the
then addition,
alternative for people?
organic ketchup, one
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't have that, you can go into your mom's, your Yes Organic, Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, even some of the local stores, Aldi, Lidl, some people say Lidl, even Giant, even Walmart, Target. Well, we're not doing Target, but they have an organic option. So you want to definitely use an organic option
Okay. Okay.
that does not contain high fructose corn syrup. There's an app that I use called Yuka, Yuka. It has a carrot as the icon. You can scan all of your barcodes and it will tell you the additives that are listed or not in every product that you buy.
Okay.
Yuka. It's a free app that you can download at your app store. And then the second thing I wanted to discuss is Groupon. It's a great way to save. It's kind of like the old Living Social. It's not a coupon, it's a Groupon. So it's a digital way that you can find discounts with merchants up to 3 times normally so that you can patronize them at a full price value if you like the product. But you start out as a Groupon to get a discount. So Pokey Dojo is what I showed you before. They have a 2 voucher uh, Groupon option that is $9.75 right now. So you get 2 bowls. So it's kind of like an introduction to sushi. If you may or may not know about sushi, you can go get a bowl and you
Mhm.
can tell them if you want salad, if you want rice, edamame, which is, inside the little pea pods. There's so many things. You can salmon, tuna. You can do a vegan option, but you get 2 bowls for $9.75, which is the price of almost less than 1 bowl because a normal bowl with them is about $13 to $16. So you're getting 2 bowls for $9.75 through Groupon.
Wow. 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 I put your Instagram page down, which is Every Plate is Great.
Yes.
So people can follow you. to get more information. So that is very good information that you just provided.
Oh,
So
yes.
so you're very into health and you like to inform people about what's going on.
Absolutely. It's important. It's not about just health. I have a culinary arts degree. So I
Hmm.
went to school for this. It's my passion. I want people to do better. We can't just say it's not accessible anymore because we have the resources. It is accessible to us. It's just a matter of, do we care about our bodies enough to actually source the ingredients that are better for us and that are going to give us a long life of not taking pills, not taking a needle, not having all this tightness and soreness. It's just quality of life. And those things destroy us. We
Mm.
need more natural products as consumption. So it's just giving you the resources, and anybody can feel free and send me a message on Every Plate is Great if you have a question about a particular ingredient or a dish. But I'll definitely be coming back on more often to share about some different subject matters regarding food.
Yes, well, I appreciate that, and I look forward to you coming back. And your birthday is the 28th,
Yes,
which is in 3 days. So is that Monday?
it is.
What do you have planned?
I just have dinner with my best friend, but nothing planned for the day. So I got
Okay,
the whole day. Dinner's at
okay,
6:30.
okay. All right. Well, look here. I appreciate you taking the time to come on here. I know you'd be super busy, so I thank you, and I do value your time, and I value the information that you have provided to us. And everyone, follow her on Instagram. Every plate is great. And I
Thank you
thank
so
you
kindly.
again for being here. And I shall talk to you soon. Thank you.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. All right. For those who don't know, I'm drinking my lemonade. I don't know why the screen's messing up, but it's in a beer mug. I don't drink beer, but I do drink lemonade. So that was Chef Candra Hardy, who talked to us about high fructose syrup that's in the ketchup packages, and she also gave out some other valuable information. Her Instagram is Every Plate is Great, so please follow her if you're on Instagram, and you can DM her about any questions because she's very informative when it pertains to being healthy, being very nutritious when you eat. Please reach out to her. So today, my topic of the day is actually depression. Now, I was speaking to a buddy of mine, and when I was speaking to him, I didn't know he was depressed. We got into a conversation, and he's going through a tough situation with his kids. He a married guy. His wife ended up leaving, taking his kids. Come to find out, she has some mental issues going on. He's been trying to see his kids, and I was totally unaware that he was depressed until he told me. And when he told me, I was just thinking about, so many people who go through depression, but especially us men. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Men suffer in silence. We suffer in silence in so many ways. We make a lot of sacrifices, and we sacrifice our health, our happiness, our money, our own lives for mainly our family. And I know that, some men don't, but a lot of men do. And I'm focusing on the men that do. And I just want to say that it made me reflect on myself like, hey, in my lifetime, have I ever been depressed? And when my brother passed away, I can see a moment where I was depressed. I can see when I was struggling in my first marriage that I was depressed, thinking that I was doing everything right, trying to be the perfect husband and not being valued or appreciated. And I just want to say to everyone that you are enough. You are great wherever you are. You having you the will and the skills to do anything that you want to and desire in this world. Every day that you wake up, God is giving you and me another chance to do whatever it is that you're destined to do. We all have purpose. And Not being depressed is one of them. See, depression is a sign of the enemy to keep you down. Everyone has greatness within them. We just all have to tap into it. See, when we're depressed, we don't move, we're stagnated. Sometimes depression leads to suicide and suicide thoughts, or it leads to anger, or it leads to just being in a dark moment. I just want to say, everyone, please, if you're going through any type of depression or whatever, try to shake it off. Try to look at comedy. Comedy is a remedy that really helps people get out of depression. That's part of the reason why it's around. Comedy helps people to get out of it and understand that you are good enough. Don't be down on yourself. Don't be down on the people around you. And I know sometimes the people around you can cause you to be depressed, especially when people are always critical of you and they never compliment you, especially when people don't value you, they don't appreciate you, they don't show love. Yes, I get it. It's tough, but you have to persevere. What you go through, because your story is going to help somebody else and so many other people. And for men, like I said, there's so many men out here that suffer in silence, that go through a lot of things, and they don't have anyone to turn to. Early this week on Monday, I posted my M3, which I mentioned about that. And I was talking about friends. Be careful of the people that you choose as your friends, because everyone that you think is your friend are not your friend. Sometimes people only get close to you because they're trying to get something from you. But I also posted where there's a men group and a men organization for those who need to reach out to others. I'm here to be a platform for people, and I'm here to be not only a platform for some people, but I'm also here to help. I have a lot of connections when it pertains to nearly any and everything. For the men, I have connections to men's group, not just religious if you're not into church, but I do have connections to groups that are in church, and I have connections to groups that are outside of church. And I just say that to say that we all need somebody, I'm saying, to speak to at the very least. We all need somebody. And it's hard for us as men to sometimes to even communicate and to express what we're going through. That's why a lot of times men will express themselves in the form of anger and rage. And you wonder why. And the reason why is because a lot of times we can't get out of us what we need to, because we don't know how to articulate it, verbalize it, or to express or say what's really going on. But sometimes a lot's going on that people don't even talk about. Like, as men, all men, we go through so much, just wanting to take care of your family, wanting to provide and doing these things, doing the best you can. So sometimes for some men, it could be a married man out there right now who's providing for his family and paying all the bills and not being loved, not being appreciated. And he's having a hard time keeping his energy up at work and staying awake or something to that effect. And then, but do you know words of encouragement will help any man go further? A man that feels valued, loved, and appreciated will run through a wall for a woman. But a man who don't feel valued, wanted, or appreciated, or respected, let me not forget that, sometimes we're going to depression because they feel like, well, why am I doing this? I'm doing all this only to get that. And yes, they're supposed to take care of the people that's close to them. But listen, everybody, this goes for men and women, no matter what race you are, everybody wants to feel important. Everybody wants to feel valued. Everybody wants to feel love, whether they say it or not. A lot of times some people don't want to be loved because they've never been shown love. And the type of love that they were shown was hurtful to them. But truthfully, the agape love and stuff like that, everybody wants it. So I just say that to say that depression is real. Depression hits not only women, it hits men, it hits children. Love on the people around you, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know how they feel. And I just say that to say that just know, to everyone who's going through depression, that you are enough. You got this. You woke up today for a reason. Reach out and get some comedy in your life. Comedy definitely helps. Laughing definitely helps. And sometimes changing your environment definitely helps. If you got to get out, be around new people, do new things, do it, because it's only going to help you to become a better person. And once you become a better person, then you can tap into yourself, to your talents, and then you can fulfill your God-given purpose. So I just want to talk about depression. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, I'm going to do a quick recap. Today I talked about the DC housing market. Listen, there are plenty of houses in DC. DC is a prime location, but many of the houses in DC are sitting because they're really overpriced. If you price anything right, it will sell. Now, sometimes greed get the best of people because they want, oh, my neighbor sold their house for this amount, and I think my house is worth more than this. But timing plays a role. Like I said, if it wasn't within the last 3 to 6 months, it's outdated. Just like the software on your phone that you got today, if you have a phone, an iPhone 10, and the day they got what 16 out, and you holding on to the iPhone 10, and let's say you didn't update your software, your phone is outdated. That's also with the information when it pertains to housing. Your information is outdated, and people don't seem to understand it. They still think they're in 2020, 2021. Oh, I should be able to get this amount. No, you're not. Times have changed. Look at what has happened since then. We have a new administration. A lot of people have lost their jobs. A lot of people don't have money like they did before. People are being very calculated when it pertains to the dollars that they do have. So people are not spending like that anymore. So we're in a different time. And that's the thing. People don't even pay attention to the time we in, because time is passing everyone just like that. And I talked about depression, y'all. Listen, if you're depressed, please get some help. Please reach out, especially men. I know a lot of men suffer in silence. If you need to reach out to me to talk about anything, you understand? Like, I've been through a lot. People don't even know how much I've been through when it pertains to relationship, when it pertains to death, when it pertains to finances, when it pertains to dealing with people in the streets. I've been through a lot. College stuff, I've been through a lot. And that's the thing. I have resources to try to help people to overcome whatever it is that they're going through. So don't be ashamed to reach out if you need help, because we all need somebody to lean on at some point in time in our life. And sometimes I know people that's supposed to be your family and closest to you, you can't even talk to because they don't understand. That's why you should reach out to somebody who does understand. And that will be I, Damon, the agent. Look here, y'all. Before we go, please make sure you'll follow me on all social media platforms: TikTok, Snapchat, Pinterest, Threads, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I appreciate you all. And if you ever want to see any episodes that I ever posted, go to my YouTube channel. And everything for me is always / Damon the Agent. I thank each and every one of you all. You all have a great weekend, and I'll see you next Friday, same time. Have a good one, y'all.